गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Amrutanubhava Chapter 7, OV number 196. And here it is being shown how all experiences of opposites are self-cancelling. They are only complementary to each other. They only exist as a complement to each other. In reality, they are not. Then what is the reality? The pure consciousness is the reality. The whole phenomena that we see in our life is all complementary opposites. Man, woman, day, night, love, hate, joy, sorrows, likes, dislikes, existence, non-existence, truth, untruth. All these words, they are only there because there is an opposite available. But the truth is independent of all this, and this is what Jnaneshwar Maharaj is telling. Ki rasa apaniya piye, ki tod lapauni thaye, he rasapane nave, daya jaise. Can the juice drink itself or avoid tasting? Whether the object of taste, the juice, is tasting itself or it is not tasting itself, the juice cannot say whether it is sweet or bitter. That does not mean that there is no sweetness or bitterness in the fruit. In the same way, I, the pure consciousness, may not be able to know myself. But that does not mean that I am not. In this way, the doubt that because truth cannot become the object of knowledge, it cannot be known and therefore it cannot exist is removed. Whether the pure self is expressing in the form of tree or not, its existence is independent of the experience of existence. Because of the existence, experience is. See, this is our question, and the question is that can I come to know myself through the mind? Our faculty of knowledge is what? Only thoughts, isn't it? And where are the thoughts? In the mind. Can the mind come to know the I? It says, I know myself. I am a man. But does it knows a man. It knows a woman. But does it know what I is? See? And this is a similar example was taken in the previous, and there he told, Jnaneshwar Maharaj told, eyes can illuminate everything, but can they illuminate themselves? Can they see themselves? But because they cannot see themselves, does it mean the physical eyes are not? See? If this example is clear, exactly the same way this is also put here. That because I cannot see the self objectively, does it mean that it is not? The self alone is illuminating everything, every experience that we have, thoughts, emotions, breath, body, and the world. But can it illuminate itself? Just like the sun is illuminating the entire world. But can the sun illuminate itself? It cannot, because it is itself of the nature of light, isn't it? How can he illuminate himself? It can illuminate only something that is other than itself. But that does not mean self is not illuminating. Itself is of the nature of illumination. Same thing is here with respect to the self. So what we have to understand here is that this knowing and not knowing, knowledge or no knowledge, or another word, knowledge or ignorance, all this is happening at the level of mind. It has got nothing to do with the self. In spite of that, the self is. In the pure self, there is neither knowing nor not knowing. This thought that the truth is beyond the trio of experiencer, experienced, and experience is expressed in every Upanishad. In Kena Upanishad comes as, we do not know nor do we know how to teach about it. What? About the truth. Because truth is, I know the eyes are, but I cannot show you the eyes. Only I'll need a reflection to show. But I can never see my own eyes, and yet I know the eye is there. The self is there, I know the self is there, I know the self is the life principle that is expressing through me, I know that I am, but what it is I cannot tell you. How can I tell? Because everything that I tell will fall short of that self. Nothing can illuminate it. Senses cannot illuminate the self, the thoughts cannot illuminate the self, the concepts cannot illuminate the self, the emotions cannot illuminate the self, because the self is self-existing. And all knowledge that you, me and everyone are having is only at the level of mind. And the mental knowledge, conceptual knowledge, is a product of three: knower, known, knowing, seer, seen, seeing, hearer, heard, hearing, experiencer, experienced, experiencing. And in that, how we have told you before, in Panchadashi also it comes, here also it comes, that consciousness expressing through mind bifurcates itself or dichotomizes itself and becomes the I thought and the that thought, the aham vritti and the idam vritti, the knower and the known, the experiencer and the experienced. I is the experiencer, I is the knower, I is the seer, hearer, toucher, feeler, thinker, and whatever it is experiencing, that is the experienced or known. And the instrument that which is bringing this about is the experience. Having given these examples, the conclusion is drawn in the 19th OV, in the 197th verse. Jnaneshwar Maharaj says, Taise pahane na pahane, pahane pane chi ho nene, ani don hi diyene, swaye chi asije. Similarly, the self is the support for both knowing and not knowing, hence is neither the knower not the not knower. Just like, take one large example which you will understand. Every day there is a waker who experiences the waking world. So for the waker, the experienced is the waking world. For the dreamer, the experienced is the dream world. Isn't it? So the I is expressing as the waker, I is expressing as the dreamer, and that takes the position of the waking world. I is the experiencer, and what is it experiencing? It's experiencing the waking world. But the waker and the waking world, the dreamer and the dream world, the deep sleeper and the deep sleep world, they come and go. Do you know that these three came? This is what we saw in the meditation also. They come and go every day. Who knows that these three came and went every day? Discover that yourself to be. Because at no moment you have ever forgotten yourself or you have lost yourself, or you have not been who you really are. You imagine that you are in ignorance. We imagine that we have forgotten ourselves. But it is not possible, because self is self-knowing. It is supporting all the knowers and knowns. It is supporting every day, it is supporting the waker and the waking world, dreamer and the dream world, and yet it is self-established. Just like you at an individual level, you as I, as an individual, are supporting on a daily basis. You are supporting the sister, the brother, the daughter, the wife, the etc. All these personalities, what we saw in Panchadashi as Gaunatma, they come and go. But you alone are supporting all those secondary personalities, and you have never become less than what you are. You still remain the I. So here the teacher is saying, catch this, that you are that unchanging principle, you are that indivisible principle, you are that self-eliminating principle, you are that one in whose presence everything comes and goes. You have never become less, or you have never become more. You have never bifurcated into the knower and known. You are supporting all the knowers and knowns. You are supporting all the experiencers and experienced. You are supporting the seer and seen, hearer and heard. But what happens? We think we are the hearer. No, you are the one who is behind that hearer, who is supporting the expression of hearer. Because that hearer and heard, the Triputi, the triad, seer, seen, seeing, hearer, heard, hearing, experiencer, experience, experiencing, these three are at the level of mind. Then a thought comes about. Only when these three are there, thought comes about. If only I is there, no thought will come. The Paramatma Tattva, which is of the nature of pure knowledge, cannot fall within the purview of the known or the unknown. And in existence alone, there is the possibility of seeing or not seeing. So, how Swami Anumanji is telling is that because you are, therefore seeing or not seeing is taking place. If you are a dead man, cannot have the experience of seeing or not seeing, experiencing or not experiencing. So don't become the experiencer, don't become the knower. Instead, recognize yourself as the being in whose presence all these experiencers or knowers are coming and going. Without this essential principle, without this, the self, the knowing, not knowing will not be possible. So the fact that you are experiencing, even right now, the fact that you are listening and sometimes you are not listening, because between every two words that are coming to you, there is nothing. See, is taking place because you exist. So our attention should not be on the words that are being communicated. Our attention should be on the principle because of which the ears are able to hear or not hear. If our attention is on that principle, then we are subjective at this very moment. This existence manifests as knowingness. The knowingness undergoes two vikalpas called the known and unknown. So this knowingness is the first expression. When we wake up early in the morning, the first thing that happens is the knowingness. We become aware that we are. And then we become aware. I am on the bed, I am not on the floor. I am in the body, I am not outside the body. We become aware of the moment we enter the mind, knowing knowingness is in the mind. Knowingness is not at the level of self. Self is only knowledge, pure knowledge, and it does not require any thoughts. In the mind, the moment we enter into the mind, the moment we awake, the phenomena begins. And the phenomena is, the first expression of the phenomena is knowingness. Knowingness, in other words, the feeling that I am. The first feeling, I am, that is knowingness. But then afterwards, immediately, very next moment, I am awake, I am in bed, I am comfortable. Then you keep adding on things to it. The truth is beyond the relative understanding of seeing and not seeing. All this is being said should lead to one point, and that is, one should drop the anxiety for self-realization and not accept some great change or a big gain. So this is another very important thing. When initial stages, when we begin our journey as a seeker, because we read some book, autobiography of a yogi, or we come across some satsang or a Mahatma, suddenly this fire of self-realization gets ignited within us. And it is necessary also to jumpstart your system to realize what you really are and what you are not. And discard the what you are not and come to reclaim who you are. But as we go on this journey, after some time, we can't remain at the same level that I want self-realization, I want self-realization. Because as long as there is a desire for self-realization, you are still at the level of mind. And here, the mode of communication is only the words. Rather than getting lost in the words, get to what the words are indicating. You are that in whose presence the mind is functioning as the I and that, as the experiencer and experienced. So here, when he says that drop until and unless this feeling of want of realization does not go out of our mind, till then we will not be able to abide in our essential self. Because that thought of wanting self-realization will make you keep objectifying the self. I want to realize the self. You are the self. How can you realize the self? You are already that. But you are in that loop. That I want to realize, I want to realize, I want to realize, I want God realization, I want God realization. What will you do after God realization? There is nothing to do after that. So from Vedantic standpoint, everyone is already realized. Everyone is already that what he or she is seeking. You are already the self. And if because this itch is there, I want to self-realize, and we create activity, create thinking towards self-realization. Initially it was necessary, but as we come to the subtler realms of our mind, we go deeper into our personality, then all this must be dropped. And that is what here the teacher is indicating, that self-realization is not like I want food. So you go, you get some food, you put into your mouth and you feel satiated. This is our experience in waking and dream for last, at least in this life, all the time. So we think I want self-realization, we think we'll get something, and by taking that or apprehending that or comprehending that or being that, becoming that, we will become fulfilled. But self-realization is not like that. It is not becoming, it is not gaining, it is not losing. It is just being. All relative standpoints should be dropped and one should start a life of just being. Same thing Swamiji is saying. Purposeless existence is the truth. Purposeless existence. As long as there is an itch that I have to do something, I have to take a class, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to achieve this, I have to achieve that, till then we are in the loop. So does that mean we have to stop all that? Let the mind go through all that. Don't shortchange yourself into thinking that you are the desirer. You are the one in whose presence all these desires in the mind are coming and going. They are phenomena. Phenomena is, what is phenomena? Definition of phenomena? What is the definition of phenomena? That which is existing in its own absence. So sunrise and sunset is a phenomena. Actually there is nothing. Mind is a phenomena. Actually there is nothing. A mirage on a hot day is a phenomena, but you cannot drink the waters. The rainbow is a phenomena, but you can never catch the colors. Under certain circumstances, the phenomena appears. Similarly, this phenomena called mind has, and this body, it has happened. Kathopanishad says the absolute cannot be illumined either by the sun, the moon, the stars or the lightnings. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyato bhanti kutoyam agnihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. No sun, no moon, no lightning, no source of light is bright enough to illuminate the self. The stars and the light. How can this little fire, what is fire? The speech. How can this little fire, the speech, illuminate the self? Illuminate the truth. And what is the truth? It is because of the truth that the sun, the moon, the lightning, the stars, the speech, all of them express themselves, isn't it? Why speech is called fire? Because it is the fire element which is expressing in the speech. Only where there is limitation to existence can purpose be attributed to existence. Meaning, truth is independent of all conditionings and limitations of time, space and objectivity. But the moment wherever we see there is a limitation, there is a conditioning, there is an effect of time, or there is a conditioning of space or objectivity, there purpose comes into existence. There want comes. There the mind appears. In truth there is no mind. In objectivity, in the untruth the mind is. And in the mind is the purpose. In the mind is the desire. Let us discover the pure existence that I am. Every teacher, every satsang is only to come to this point. Arey Baba, don't take yourself to be the mental personality. You are not the mind. You are the conscious self. You are the reality. You are the one who is supporting the expressions of the mind. And what are the expressions of the mind? And always think of it in totality. The expressions of the mind in a total way will be the waking experience, dream experience and the deep sleep experience. Don't think only about the waking, because it's only 1/3 of the total. The mind is expressing as the waker and the waking world, dreamer and the dream world, deep sleeper and the deep sleep world. You are the one who is illuminating all these. So either you can say you are illuminating these three, or you can just say you are the one who is illuminating the mind's expression. Rather than calculating all the expressions and working out, oh, but I have to solve this, I have to solve that, this is what I did in the past and this is what I want to do in the future. Forget it. Take the whole experience of the waking as the waking experience. Take the whole thing, experience of the various experiences in the dream as dream experience, and drop it. You don't have to drop it. Just recognize that you are illuminating all these three. You are other than these three. They are expressions of you. They are extensions of you. Just like a wave is an extension of water. We can say it that way. Actually, it is not. It is nothing but water. But for that realization to come, it will take its own time. Or it can happen, bang. Nachiketa asked the Dharmaraja, the Lord of Death, for that knowledge which is beyond dharma and adharma, beyond cause and effect, beyond past and future. And what was this knowledge he asked for? By knowing which there is nothing else to be known. Dharma, adharma is at the relative level. When we talk about relativity, don't think about this world as relative. The mind is where relativity functions. Mind is a product of relativity. So someone said, what if we remove God out of the equation? Then what will be? What will it be? What will it be? People live God, 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 God. See, the God, individual and the world. God, individual and the world. Three. Experiencer, experienced and experiencing. Three. Seer, seen and seen. Three. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Three. Right? This three is the problem. They are all coexisting. They cannot exist independently. God cannot exist independent of the Jiva and the Jagat. The Jagat cannot exist independently of the Ishvara and the Jiva. And Jiva cannot exist independently of the Ishvara and Jagat. Just like this tripod stand. With two legs you cannot keep the stand. Then three have to be there. If one is taken out of the equation, the whole edifice falls. So what is the edifice of this whole world? Jeev, Jagat, Ishwar. You take one out of the equation, the whole world collapses. Then what remains when the world collapses? You are. You don't collapse. Every day this world as you know it collapses, isn't it? When you go to sleep. But does that mean that you have collapsed? No, but I didn't know where I was in the sleep. And when you wake up, did you have a good sleep? Yes, I had a good sleep. Who came to know that? Who came to know that? That's the real one. You are that. The next two OVs give the meaning of seeing or not seeing Paramatma. It reflects the second chapter of the Kena Upanishad. So what is that knowledge by knowing which everything can be known? It is the self. And once you be the self, recognize yourself as that being, then the knowledge may or may not come in the form of thoughts, but you know everything. You are complete. There is no lack. And all our running around, our seeking, our acquiring, our possessing, our relating with people and things is only because we think we are not complete. Isn't it? Whole spiritual purpose is to accept yourself that you are complete at any given moment. There is nothing lacking. All your running will stop. All all your wanting will stop. All our possessing will stop. And then what will be there? Contentment, fulfillment. जे पाहणेची म्हणवनिया पाहणे नव्हे आपणया तय न पाहणे आपसया हाची आहे. The self-being of the nature of knowledge does not become an object of knowledge, and therefore it cannot remain unknown also. Very same point what I just explained is being told. That which is of the nature of seeing, the knowingness of seeingness cannot know or see self. Huh? So, sun is of the nature of light. The light or darkness, what we know as light and what we know as opposite of light. What is opposite of light? Dark. Can any light illuminate the sun? Can the darkness illuminate the sun? No. So does that mean sun is not illuminating? It's a different way of putting it. Everything is the eyes are illuminating all the names and forms. But there is nothing in this world which can illuminate the eyes. Does that mean there are no eyes? Eyes are independent. They support all the forms and names and forms, but are themselves independent of all the, not names, the forms, but they themselves independent of all the forms. The speech illuminates all the words, but itself is independent of all the words. The ears illuminate all the sounds, but they are themselves independent of all the sounds. Similarly, the self illuminates the entire phenomena, but it is independent of the phenomena. This is what Krishna Bhagavan tells in the 9th chapter, 4th and 5th verse. The whole world is in me, I am in the whole world, yet I am independent of the whole creation. Neither the world is in me, nor I am in the whole world. Total contradiction. Total contradiction. But this is the only type of language, and if we are attuned to it, we can see through what it is trying to bring us to. The eyes cannot see themselves, the mind cannot feel itself, nor can the intellect know itself. In the same way, everything is illumined in the light of consciousness, but the pure consciousness cannot know itself. Why? Because it is self-knowing. Do you know there is an intellect? Do you know there is a thinking faculty within you? Has the intellect ever come to know itself? Has the mind ever come to know itself? If it makes that attempt, it does make that attempt. What is that attempt that the mind makes? It drops all the idam vrittis and comes to focus on I. But as long as it's thinking about I am, still the mind is. But it cannot come to know what it is. Once it drops even that thought, then what is the nature of the mind? It is not other than the self itself. And therefore, just because it is of the nature of not knowing, it does not mean that the truth is not. That which is of the nature of seeing, that because of which everything is seen, how can that be seen? And therefore, just because it is of the nature of not knowing, it does not mean that the truth is not. This is what Krishna Bhagavan says in the 15th chapter. So because the mind cannot illuminate the self, it can talk about it, but it cannot illuminate it. It has never experienced it. It has never known it. It cannot see, hear, touch, feel, taste it. Concept of the self is not a self. Self is not a concept. But mind only works in concepts. But self is not a concept. So does it, so at the level of mind, oh, I'm just tired, I can't, I don't seem to get it. If I can never know it, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Mind can never come to know the self. Then I don't think there is any self. That is also not true. Who is knowing that the mind is thinking like this? I am thinking. See? So the self is ever. The Lord says in the 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, I am the one who is worthy of knowing. The worthiness of knowing is that it cannot be known. The worthiness of knowing is that it cannot be known. Meaning, stop putting efforts to be. You cannot put efforts and become and be the self. You cannot do yoga and be the self. You cannot do pranayam and be the self. You cannot think and be the self. In spite of thinking, you are. In spite of pranayam, you are. But no amount of efforts, because efforts have a supposition that I am not and I want to be. So then the efforts start. There is a desire, then the efforts begin. But the self is not a product of any effort. See? And efforts are put at 3 levels. What are those 3 levels? Manasa, Vacha, Kaya. At the body level we put efforts, at the speech level we put efforts, and at the thinking level we put efforts. None of these 3 efforts can ever illuminate and bring you to the self. Meaning, all these efforts happen in the presence of the self, but the self is independent of all this. Recognize. But a man, these are all for a seeker who has come to this fine understanding, and he seems to be there, yet he is not there. To remove this conundrum that is going on in his mind, that it can be known or it cannot be known, to remove this nature of objectification in a seeker's mind, all these thoughts are being presented. That in spite of those doubts, in spite of all those thoughts coming in your mind, while those thoughts are coming, you still are. While you are listening right now, you still are. While this speech is going on, still am. And that self has never become less or more. Therefore, this existence, this Paramatma Tattva is that because of which seeing is possible. The same idea is also expressed in the Taittiriya Upanishad. I am food, that is the field of experience. I am the eater of the food, the experiencer, and I alone manifest as the eating, the experience. This is an eternal process. So your food is anything. What is the food for the eyes? What is the food for the eyes? The forms. What is the food for the nose? The fragrance. What is the food for the ears? The sounds. In order to comprehend the sound or for the forms to be apprehended, the seer has to be there, and seeing is there, and the seen is there. Seen is the food. Here the Lord says that I am the seer, I am the seen, and I am the seeing also. I am the eater, I am the eaten, I am the eating also. That means everything is. If self alone has become the waking experience, then all experiences in the waking have to be pervaded by that self. But those experiences are limited. Limited can never come to know the unlimited. See? Put it in a different way, mind is a product of limitation. Mind can never come to know the source. Thus, one cannot know oneself because one is of the nature of knowledge. Therefore, stop this seeking. Instead, what do? Again, the question comes, what do? Just be. Just be. And being cannot be done in the past or in the future. It is only in the here and now. Every moment, be. And what is the expression of that being? Anand, bliss, inspiration. Every moment of your existence. Because the moment dejection comes, the moment fear comes, the moment anger, greed, jealousy comes, we have forgot, we have moved away from who we are. Even though we are, but we are not being. We have become someone, because of which all these opposites start expressing. As knowing is not possible, not knowing also is not possible. Ani na pahane ma kaise, apan pe ya paho baise, tari pahane apaise, ha chipudati. And if he sees himself, how can it be not seeing? And he is the seen, that is, he is in the front of himself as seeing. This is all very cryptic language. Scriptures are very cryptic. Nothing is straightforward. And that's why many times people leave the scriptures. Who needs the scriptures? But it is the scriptures which make you go beyond the words to see, to make you recognize, see, how we are caught up in this relative. How can one say that Atma does not see himself? When he sees himself, when he himself is the seer as well as the seen, this thought echoes in a Kenopanishad. I do not say I have understood, nor does that mean that I have not understood. One day I was coming in the car with someone, and one lady, I was coming from the city, 5 of us, and she says, Swamiji, do you know yourself? Now what do I say to such a person? Something was going on and suddenly this question came. So what do you say? Do you know yourself? I ask you, same question. Nobody wants to say anything. My response to that lady was, yes and no. I know myself, I got no doubt about it. But how you know me, I do not know. I can never come to know. Right? Now take it a bit deeper. I know myself as I am, because there has never been a moment that I am not. But how mind conceptualizes this self that I am, I can never come to know. Every moment it is thinking in a different way. Isn't it? I can never come to know. Self doesn't need to know through the mind, because it is self-knowing. And mind can only come to know something through concepts, and concepts can never come to know the truth. So, just like that lady, when I was told her that I know, and I do not know the way you know. Can I ever get into her head to see how I am? What is her angle of experiencing me? I don't know. Same way. To the seeker in the initial stages, such statements seem contradiction in terms, So he asks the Lord, you are confusing me. Tell me for certain which is right, this way or that way. Truth is not this way or that way. It supports this way and that way, yet it is beyond both. It supports heat, light and darkness, yet it's beyond both. It supports the experiencer, experienced, and the non-experiencer and non-experienced, yet it is beyond the both. It supports presence and absence, yet it is beyond both. See? Similarly, it is said here, the truth is of the nature of seeing, he cannot be the object of seeing. So, if we look, eyes are seeing, do these eyes, the physical eyes, do they have any purpose? Do the physical eyes have any purpose? They are illuminating everything that is coming in front of them. Isn't it? Then for whom are they seeing? For the mind. Isn't it? If the mind is not there, will there be a seer? Will there be a seen? Think about it little bit coolly. The holes of the two eyes, the holes of the nose, the holes of the ear, the stimuli are coming in front of them. They are there to apprehend them, but they have got no purpose. Eyes don't use the vision for themselves. For whom are they collecting all these stimuli? For someone more intelligent behind them, isn't it? And that is the mind. Think, right? So eyes are not attached to any stimuli that comes in front of them. Any form, any sound, any fragrance, nothing. They are unattached. And we think it is someone behind, and this is our experience also, it is the mind. Now look a little, think about it a little bit more coolly. Does the mind remain attached to seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting? Because when I see you, the form comes and the mind says Niti. Then the mind says Radha. Then the mind says uncle. Then the mind says Surendran. Then the mind says camera. Then the mind says carpet. Then the mind says, keep saying something. Whatever is coming, whether it is a form, whether it is a sound, whether it is a fragrance, whether it is a feeling. So is mind attached to anything that it is comprehending? Just like eyes are not getting attached to anything, is the mind getting attached to anything? No. That is why it is able to move from one thought to the next. Think. That is its nature. It cannot remain in one place. It's also continuously changing. Otherwise, oh, I love to see this, and the mind will remain at the eyes level. It is not possible. It is also changing continuously.
I love the food. Mind says, I take the food and eat it.
Huh?
What does it say to go and eat it?
No,
Who's directing it?
So now that's the next question. But what we are saying is something different. My attempt here is to bring your attention that the eyes illuminate all the forms, not for themselves. They have got no purpose. The seeing is happening for someone more intelligent, and that is the mind. Mind thinks thought not for itself. It is thinking the thoughts for someone more intelligent. Understand what I am saying? Mind is also not thinking for itself, because if it was thinking for itself, then it will remain with one thought, but it doesn't happen. It keeps changing. Does mind have any purpose? Think about it a bit coolly. Does mind have a purpose to think thoughts, or it's just a phenomena that is taking place? Just like in front of the eyes, something comes, something the eyes will see. There is no other choice for them. Similarly, the moment mind is there, thinking will take place. There is no other choice for the mind. Either it will think or it will not think. It keeps going through this yo-yo. Then for whom is the mind thinking? Someone intelligent behind him. Who is that? The intellect. And in the intellect, the I thought comes, isn't it? All the thinking is taking place for the I, isn't it? Is I attached to anything? I is also not attached to anything. That is why it allows everything to flow by. Think. Because every experience that takes place, what did we say? Experiencer, experienced, experiencing. I, that, and the instrument of connection, experience. Then that thought is over. So right now, you are seeing me, you are hearing me. Some moments you are a seer, I am the seen, and the seeing is taking place. The next moment you are the hearer and the heard, and the hearing is taking place. Next moment you feel that the knee has become frozen. So you are the experiencer, body is the experience, and experiencing is taking place. Continuously change is taking place. You are never the same. And with every experience, the I comes and goes away. With every experience. With the seer came and the seer went away. Hearer came, the hearer went away. The experiencer came, the experiencer went away. The thinker came, the thinker went away. He cannot remain. If thinker remains, then how will vision come? Seer will come. The truth of the matter is that the seer comes and goes, the hearer comes and goes, the experiencer comes and goes, the knower comes and goes, and this continuous flow is going on. Meaning the I is continuously, after having formed a thought with something, whatever it is interacting with, it makes the thought and it goes away. Then the next object comes, the I interacts with that, then that thought goes away. So I is also going away every moment. When looked at it in this manner, there is no ego. You start seeing it's all a phenomena. So the mind, the interaction between the subject and the object, I and the that, it's going on. Who knows this? When put in this manner, who knows that this dance of subject and object is incessantly going on? I only know, isn't it? Be that. So what we have done through this exercise, we have shown you that the senses have no purpose with all the stimuli that they are gathering. Mind gathers those stimuli, but it has got no purpose. He does it for the I. We saw that I, with every stimuli that comes, it forms a thought, then it goes away, and then the new thought comes about, and they are also flowing. And all this is noted, observed by us. It is all happening in my presence, in the presence of this pure self. And this is our experience. Be that. Don't get caught up. Don't give too much value and attention to these thoughts. The more value and attention you give, to that extent you will get identified with that thought. To that extent you will get identified with that particular sense. And then that box opens up and takes you for a ride. Similarly, it is said here, the truth is of the nature of seeing, he cannot be the object of seeing. Therefore, seeing in the self, of the self, by the self, to the self is not possible. So in 6th chapter it was told, Uddhared Atmana Atmanam Natmanam Avasadhayet. This raise yourself, by yourself, in yourself, for yourself, and not by not self. It was necessary at that time to make that statement. But if you really look into it, if where we are at this moment in this text, how can the raise self, how can the self raise itself? It is ever complete. Now when we take that verse, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam, then you have to understand that the individual self must raise itself to the infinite self by thinking about its own nature. But as long as it thinks about its own nature, thinking will keep it always short of being. But that was necessary in order to detach from the world, because by doing that, when your focus becomes the self, the mind gets weaned away from the objective world. And here it says, the same Paramatma Tattva manifests in its own glory as the seer seeing. Although the seer is seeing the scene is not other than the seer. Such being the case, use of language such as seer has seen the scene seems inappropriate. Meaning that this, just like the self, the infinite self, the pure self alone has become the subject and the object. The water itself has become the ocean and the waves. Because can the ocean and wave exist apart from water? Can water and ocean and wave exist apart, separate from water? Not possible. Similarly, the seer, the subject, and the seen, the object, they are mere manifestations of the self that I am. They are not other than the self. But this is the revelation. You cannot work it out. All you can do is be, and in that being, this reveals that everything is me. Everything is I. And this everything is I is not just a lip service. It becomes a thought-free experience of being. Then such verses come out of the great sages. Om Sahasra Shirasha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vrittva Tatishthaddashanmulam. All the names, all the heads I am, all the hands I am, all the feet I am. In other words, I alone am expressing behind all the heads, all the ears, all the senses, all the minds, all the feet, And is that not the truth? In the dream, all the people are there in your dream. Have you not become all the people? All the thoughts, all the seeing, hearing, touching, feeling of past, present and future in the dream. When you look back after waking up, your experience is Om Sahasra Shesha Purusha. So is true in the waking plane also. So is true in the waking plane also. This entire waking world is mere manifestation of your own essential self. And this can be caught not by thinking about the world. This can be reveal when we, just like we can appreciate this statement after we wake up from the dream, that hey, yes, all the people in the dream, all the sentient and insentient things and beings in the dream was nothing but me alone, my mind alone. All the thoughts, everything, past, present, future was I alone. The time was I alone. The space in the dream was I alone. The mountains, rivers, trees, everything, the disease, health, everything was I alone. To appreciate that this whole waking world is also this I alone, we have to wake up from this waking dream. For that, be. For that, be. Be who you really are. with this we come to the 20th verse. We'll just read the verse and then we'll look at it next week. Hi donhi paraspare nandati ekahare bandhuni yere yere nahi keli. These two opposites, seeing and not seeing, existing simultaneously in the pure self, thus became redundant in mutual cancellation. Light is opposite of darkness, darkness is opposite of light, existence is opposite of non-existence. In the one of the chapters here, Advaitananda, there he said that the word Sat-Chit, not Advaitananda, Satchidananda, that the words Sat we have given to the truth only to cancel Asat. The word Chit, consciousness, is only used to cancel Achit, not conscious. And Ananda is only used to cancel misery, dukkha. Truth is neither Satchit Anand and truth is neither Asat, Achit and dukkha. It is beyond all. Because the moment you use the word truth, untruth also comes about. Truth cannot be caught in words such as these. So that we will see in our next class. We will see what Swamiji says. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.